Hi everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge, and I just filmed the first 3 minutes of this and I hadn't hit record, so I am not infallible, folks. I am not infallible. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me redo my intro for this. Basically, I had a root canal this morning, so my lip is a little squishy. But I'm feeling really good, and so I figured I would get some filming done while I have the oomph for it, because I've just been falling behind with like life and everything lately, and I wanted to stay on top of this. So today we're doing some of my favorite TV shows, things that I've watched over the last few years that I really love. This one isn't my top list of everything. I just want to talk about ones that I maybe haven't talked about a lot, and then some that I do talk about a lot. And just wanted to remind you in case you're new here and stuff like that, because I get new subscribers every day, right? So let's go ahead and dive in. I wanted to start with one of my favorite comedies, and that is The Big Bang Theory. This show is on, is this one on ABC or NBC? I don't even know. Does it say? It says the WB, but I don't know. I just really love this. This is, in case you don't know for some reason, this is about a bunch of nerdy scientists. And then this girl moves in next door to two of them who are roommates together. And she's just moved to town to be an actor. But she's working at the Cheesecake Factory in the interim. And she's only like 22. And immediately there's some like, one of the nerds has some feelings for her, and it's one of those things of like the nerd gets the girl. And I just love how this story evolves. I love the couples that come about through this, and I just really enjoy this. I'm watching through this series. I've seen every episode, but I'm watching through this series with one of my best friends who hasn't seen all of them yet, and I just love watching them with her, and it's such a fun time. But yeah, I love the gang from BBT, and it's one that I share the love of this show with my mom, and like we both cried on the last episode like a lot. That's one of the things with comedies, is I feel like they don't get a wrap up the way that I want them to. But I love this show. A lot of really famous nerds have like made cameos on the show. Some of them are even reoccurring characters, and I just really love it. Then I thought I would talk about two of my favorite reality shows, because if you guys don't know, I'm not into like The Bachelor, Bachelorette, or Love Island, or like any of those kind of shows, because I'm not really into the like faux love that happens there, but I definitely understand the appeal, and I do believe that some people can find real love on them, but I'm just not that into them. I did watch The Bachelor the first couple seasons when I was really little, because my mom tried it, but we just never stuck around with them. But the shows that I have seen, particularly one show that I have seen every season ever made, is Survivor. I've been watching the show since, it came out in the year 2000, so for 21 years we've been watching the show. I have taken gaps before, but recently when it got all put onto Amazon, I did the CBS pass for like a month, and I binged all the seasons I hadn't seen so that I could watch the Winners at War season, which had, of course, a bunch of my favorites. And if you're a lover of Survivor, like, you know who the real famous people are. You know the seasons that are really epic and really good. And I just love that one. I think it was such like a simple yet complicated experiment, because these people go to stay there, and it's like, I always forget that it's only 39 days. And just the things that people go through when they do it are amazing. And so I really love Survivor. I love the politics of it. I love the strategy of it. I love watching when there's a really good player who just can predict how people are going to react, and then they do it. And I absolutely love that. There's a character from the most recent, well, he was from the other seasons because it was the Winners at War season, but like, I didn't like him in like any of the other seasons he was in. He annoyed the crap out of me. But this time around, because it's all people who are like unliked and some people that are liked, I was really rooting for him, and I thought that this character did an amazing job. Yeah, I can't wait for more seasons of Survivor. I love Survivor. And then the other reality show that I like the most, that I've watched the most seasons of, though I haven't seen every season of this one because I fell off of it when I wasn't living with my parents anymore, because again, my mom watches all of these. But I really love Big Brother. which is funny because it's a little bit like Survivor, but it's also completely, like, it feels like it's so much different because they're not living on an island where they might be starving, but that one is like 100 days long. Like, it's an entire summer. And, like, just think of the psychology of that it would be to be locked in a house with people and, like, not know if you can trust them or not. And that one, I, like, do believe that people fall in love on that one. I mean, we've seen it. I mean, in Survivor, it's happened as well. But I just love that show for the psychology of watching people, because of people who are really good, again, they're able to guess how people are going to react, and they're usually right. And it's kind of just blows my mind. It's amazing. It's so cool. So then I wanted to do 2 of my favorite crime shows. Well, actually, I guess I have 3 that are, like, favorites right now. So one of them that's a little more lighthearted sometimes, because not always, is The Mentalist. This is a show that's completely all out now and everything, and this is about Patrick Jane, who he used to be like a carnival mentalist and would, you know, do this to make money, and then a serial killer, Red John, came after his is it just his wife or his wife and child? Yes, his wife and child. And so he's hell-bent on trying to find Red John. And then he ends up working with the FBI's, what's the branch of this one called? I can't remember which branch this one's called. But I really love the dynamics on the team in this one. This is a show that I discovered. I remember watching it when it was on, but then it wasn't until it was completely out and, like, we knew who the Red John was and we were getting our happily ever afters that I ended up buying the whole season. So I actually have all 7 seasons of this one on DVD and binge it, and I still will watch some of the episodes, because this one is a nice, because it reminds me of Bones in a lot of aspects, right? I really love Bones too, but that's not on the list today. But how there is some humor in how he does things, even when we're dealing with serial killers or, like, crimes, because this one doesn't just deal with serial killers. I think what is really nice is that sometimes it's a robbery or it's a kidnapping or stuff like that, and I really, really enjoy that. So Patrick Jane, I definitely have a soft spot in my heart for him, and I really like the show, and this is one that I can put on. It reminds me of, like, Psych in that way, not quite as bonkers as Psych, of course, but where I can put it on and, like, just fall into an episode and, like, be cool with it. Then, as a romance lover, this is funny, but one of my favorite shows that, again, this show has been on almost as long as I've been alive, is Law & Order SVU. I think all of us have loved a Law & Order show at some point in our lives. This is the one that it was on Wednesday nights when I was a kid, and I would rush home from Wednesday night Bible study so that I could watch it. Don't know why my parents let me watch such dark shows, but see, my dad loved crime shows. We did watch a lot. These are just a couple of the ones that I like the best. Like, we watched all the CSIs, NCIS, we'd watch the SVUs, we'd watch NYPD Blue. Like, we would watch all of those shows. But this one was my favorite because of Benson and just how she would work at, like, helping women not feel shame for things that happen to them, helping men not feel shame for assaults that happen to them. And it wouldn't just be rapes, but it usually is because it's Special Victims Unit. But there's a couple storylines within SVU that I still will go back and watch the storylines because they were so powerful to me. And Mariska Hargitay, I have talked about this before, her charity for victims of sexual assault, the Joyful Heart Foundation, is personally my favorite charity, the one that I donate to the most. And I just love that the good that comes out of the show, and I love that they tell really hard stories. And lately I haven't been able to watch it because I've stayed away from those hard-hitting headline stories, because they always say these aren't based on real cases, but we all know that they are. We all know that they are. But it's a tough one to watch with current events sometimes, but it still will always be a favorite of mine. And I just love when we get the bad guy. And I used to love when Stabler was on, and, like, he would just beat the shit out of some guy. And I know, like, that has a whole other side to it now with, like, police brutality where it's went. But when he's dealing with, like, rapists and child molesters, we all want him to beat the shit out of them. So, like, yes, I want us to follow proper police procedure, but I'm a big proponent that in fiction, we can get our justice, and I would like how he would get it. But I don't condone that in real life, obviously, but in fiction, I do. Then one that's a newer love of mine, which it's actually only on its second season, and I am currently watching that one, is Prodigal Son. So this one has Michael Sheen. I think it's Michael Sheen, or is it Michael Sheen? Yeah, I think it's Michael Sheen. And then, I just forgot his name, but he used to be on The Walking Dead, and now he's on this show. And he plays the son of a serial killer. So he is a consultant for the police department, and his father is currently in a maximum security prison because he was someone called the Surgeon, and he was a serial killer. And when this character, when he was a child, his father gets caught. And so for his whole life, he grew up under the shadow that this surgeon was his father, and that their family had no idea. The mom had no idea. The kids had no idea. They had no clue. And so he took that dark past of his, and he became an investigator. He became a profiler. And so what makes this really interesting, though, is that he will consult with his dad, because some of the serial killers that they're catching have maybe copied his father's work, or have been inspired by his father's work, or his father just understands the minds of serial killers really well because he is one. So this is one that it is a much more of like a thriller, sometimes horror. There have been some horrific crimes that have happened, but he has pretty bad PTSD, and I just really, really enjoy this show. And it's kind of my new Criminal Minds, because Criminal Minds isn't on anymore. And it's kind of my new, like, Criminal Minds thing. And so one other one that I want to talk about that is set in, like, current times. That's the best way that I can say it. And this is a new love of mine. I've only been watching it for about the past year because I found it when the second season was already out, but I'm absolutely obsessed, and that's Yellowstone. I have seasons 2 and 3 here. This is Kevin Costner's show on actually the Paramount Network. I absolutely adore this show. It takes place in modern day Montana, and there's this big ranch called the Yellowstone. So not Yellowstone National Park. There's a ranch called Yellowstone, and there is this father who has 4 children. One of them's a lawyer, one of them's a businesswoman, one of them is a ex-special operative, and then one of them is helping him run the ranch. And in the first episode of this show, there's a lot of tensions between developers trying to scoop up his property. There's tension between the tribes that they're close to, because there's always, when there's modern day westerns and cowboy shows, there's always tension between Natives, Americans, and stuff like that. And this one has a really cool take on it. Like, it's showing the business side of the tribes and how they're trying to fight. It has Gil Birmingham, I think is how you say his name. And I love that he's on here. He's fantastic. The newest season actually has one of the characters from Lost. It plays our villain. But I'm obsessed with a lot of the characters. There's this foreman on the ranch whose name is Rip. Like, literally R.I.P. His name is Rip. Who has been raised alongside them all and is kind of like, he's the man in black. He's like the enforcer for them. And there's kind of this, like, it's funny because it's kind of told, like, you know how Downton has, like, the upstairs, downstairs vibe? Well, this has, like, the owners and the family, and then, like, the workers on the farm. So there's also a lot of bunkhouse storylines going on. And I don't know, it's just fascinating. And there is a love story between 2 characters. Well, there's a couple couples in the story, because one of the sons is married to a Native American woman, and they have a son, and there's kind of a break between the son and father because he married this woman. And that is something that needs to be worked on through the seasons. As well as one of the daughters, well, not one of, the daughter, her name is Beth. She's fantastic. She's actually was in Pride and Prejudice, so you probably recognize her. Her name is Kelly something. Kelly Raymer. But she is fucking fantastic. She plays this ball buster. There are t-shirts made in her name. It's fantastic. And she has this off and on again thing with Rip, the foreman that I was talking about right there. And their love story throughout this show is, it gives me life. It is so fantastic. My friend Nicole from Who Picked This Book, she also watches this show. And when I was watching the end of season 3, I like messaged her on Boxer and I was like, Nicole, what's happening? This is so beautiful. So I absolutely love it. So this show is, you know, it's not a crime drama. It's not a comedy. It is a drama about this family and trying to keep their land from being developed, and try to keep everything together. And I just absolutely love this show so much. Then let's get into a couple period dramas. So I'm just going to talk about 2, and you could probably guess both of them because I talk about them a lot. So a new favorite, and one that I don't care. I really love it. Even though I've made 8 episodes talking about the nitpicks of it, is I really love Bridgerton. I really did. I love what it's doing for historical romance. I love what it's doing for the like diversity that it has in it. I love the relationships that are set up, and I am so excited that it's getting a season 2. So I'm just mentioning it real quick. If you for some reason watch me and you don't know how much I love it, I've loved Julia Quinn since I was 16 years old. So much. I adore her. And I have been reading her books since then, so for 11 years. And so for a historical romance series that I love so much to be made into TV, it's kind of the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. And so I just absolutely love it. I absolutely love it for the enjoyment that it gives me while I'm watching it. There are things about it that I wish were different, but I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with season 2, since that one doesn't have quite as heavy of a topic to take on maybe as like the first one did. I think it could be really, really interesting. And then the last show that I want to talk about, that again should be no surprise, because if we were in my other filming location, you would see it all over the place. But that's Outlander. I'm obsessed with Outlander. I've been watching Outlander since right before season 2 started is when I started watching it. I have all the box sets of these. I just grabbed season 5. Look at how beautiful they are. This is based on Diana Gabaldon's best-selling series. It's fantastic. Again, if you don't know, I did reviews for, I'll link the Outlander playlist because I have a playlist with all of my Outlander stuff in it. I'm so obsessed with it. I did reviews for all of the books and all of the first 4 seasons of the show, and then for season 5 I did episode by episode breakdowns, and it's when I had my first big surge in my channel. Like, it really just pushed it all off, and I'm so excited for season 6. Even though I'm scared how they're going to change things up, because they really did change a lot of things in season 5. They pulled some things forward and moved some things around and made some decisions I'm not a fan of. But here's the thing. When I'm watching it, I still think it's so beautifully done. And in a lot of ways, I feel like my characters are inhabited. Now, they have the characters do different things than, like, I feel like Diana has them do. No question about that. But I still get such pleasure from looking at the show and watching the show. And every once in a while, there'll be a line from the books that's delivered just perfectly. And it will bring me so much joy. So if for some reason you haven't watched this show yet, I highly recommend it. Whether you're a book reader or not. Honestly, I'd say especially if you're not a book reader, I think you should give this show a try, because you probably won't have any of the hang-ups that I do. But I love this world. These people, they make me so happy, and I think you should give it a go. So there you go. There is some TV shows that I have been watching, some of my old favorites, some new favorites. Let me know what shows you've been watching during quarantine, what you do. Again, I haven't been watching much. I watch Booktube and I read, and then I watch a few because I used to / do watch a lot of doctor shows, but since COVID, I just can't do it because it's too real. Them like putting what's in the show, like it's our life, and so it hurts. But I do watch a lot of doctor shows. I just haven't since they came back after COVID. So there's those. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I put up new videos 3 to 4 times a week. Make sure you check those out. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell to get notified when I update. I usually put them up in the mornings, but sometimes I'll just throw them up randomly, so you don't want to miss them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.